Okay, I'm back. I pray that you guys have had an amazing day. You guys know I just did a video discussing the situation with Megan Good and her husband Devon Franklin, and just really asking you guys to pray for them. Don't talk about them. Don't sit back and say "I told you so." Don't do those type of things. Give them the opportunity and the space to heal and to grieve and to have the comfort of knowing that they have our prayers. I think that as a church, sometimes it's not our shining moments when we are, so quick to come out and talk about what's going on in the lives of other people. But I wanted to talk about marriage, and that's why I wanted to separate this video from the other one because I didn't want to seem like I'm making any type of insinuations about their marriage because obviously I don't know. But it did get me to thinking about, just when I think about marriages, when I think about the failure of marriages, not just in Hollywood, but on the spectrum that we all live on, I come to the reality that a lot of times people don't really understand how to be married. And so I'm going to go on record saying this message is totally unrelated from that message. So I don't want anybody picking anything from this and saying, yeah, I think that too, Sister Tiffany, or what have you. That's not what this is about. This is an entirely different message, and I'm going to try to get out of here as fast as possible because I don't feel my best right now. I just feel really, really, really tired. But I want to talk about the types of marriages to avoid. Because I do believe that if we learn how to truly test the spirit, and I do believe that if we're prayerful, I do believe that if we are informed, there would be less divorces and more happy marriages. And let me say this when it comes to marriage, a lot of people don't understand, and I said this on the last video. Is it possible for God to point out a man to you and say that's your husband, or for God to point out a woman and say that's your wife, and that marriage fails? Of course, because you are two human beings inside of a marriage, and you both have your issues, and whatever issues God has with you are the issues that your spouse will have with you. You got to hear me when I say this. If you go through a divorce, while you're going through a divorce, one or both of you are not in right standing with God. The only way a true Christian marriage is going to work is both people have to stay aligned with God. You will be in unity. If you keep trying to keep up with each other, then your marriage will fail. If you keep trying to drag the other, you have to both stay aligned with God. So God has to be your number one priority. And I need you to hear me as Christian men and Christian women. I need you to hear me on this. You have to stay perfectly aligned with God. God has to be your number one. God is the altar that you have to continually meet at. So it's not you can't be caught up in how I feel. This is one of the things I try to tell you guys. You want to make sure that right now you master your emotions, master not quitting, master not giving up. These are the things that you do while you're single. These are the things that you do while you're single. Master that. Because when you get to the point where you begin to appreciate having that dedication, that faithfulness, that consistency, you will look for that quality in another person. You start to see how important that quality is in another person, because anybody that can quit easily will quit you easily as soon as the situation permits them to, whenever they find themselves getting frustrated, whenever they find themselves getting overwhelmed. So I want to say this, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to wait till we get 100 people on here and I'm going to say it, but I want you guys to, before I say that, let me just say this to you guys. I want you to have a realistic view of marriage. That should have been my subheader. A realistic view of marriage, because most people romanticize what marriage is or what marriage should look like. Most people romanticize, and I was talking to a sister in Christ today, and we were talking about this, the destruction of most marriages. And ladies, I need y'all to hear me, and I need you to hear me with your chest. I need you to hear me and put on your big girl panties, as they say. You need to hear me. A lot of marriages are not destroyed by men, they're destroyed by women. It could probably be 50-50, but right now there is this consensus that a lot of women have that most marriages are destroyed by men. They're not. They're destroyed by women. Let me tell you how we have a tendency to destroy our own marriages. And if you get this, you'll be one of those women that you won't tear down your marriage with your own hands. Women destroy their marriages because what we have a tendency to do is, I've said this before, we fantasize. Fantasies destroy marriages. Please hear me on that. Fantasies destroy reality. This is why God told you, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought for the obedience of Christ. Thank you, Sister Gloria. God bless you. Hear me when I say this. What we have a tendency to do, and I'm telling you, I'm preaching from the choir. I'm preaching not to the choir, but from the choir, because I was the choir. I'm a creative. I have a very vast imagination, as most women do. And when I was married, before I got married, I had all these fantasies about what marriage is supposed to look like. And I can honestly say it was that in many situations. He superseded my expectations. And then there were times where it didn't happen. I didn't have a realistic view of marriage. I believe that Hollywood destroys more marriages because what it does is it presents this image, and because the way that we are wired as women, we see this image and we think that marriage is supposed to be just fully, just in this one big emotional event where I'm going to have every issue that I've ever had that's going to be taken care of at once. When I'm mad, he gonna pull me close and he ain't gonna let me stay mad. He's gonna do all of the work, the stuff that you were supposed to do for yourself outside of marriage. The stuff you were supposed to do for yourself, you're supposed to get over quitting. You're supposed to get over your feelings. You're supposed to learn to take accountability. And I hate to say this, and I got to say it out loud. Most women never learn to do that. Because the United States of America promotes the victim mentality. In the United States of America, the victim mentality is promoted. If you feel like a victim, you'll find you a support group of a bunch of folks that feel like victims, and you guys will start your own ism. And the next thing you know, y'all are out here fighting for your beliefs to be hateful. You have to be very mindful. And I'm saying this before we get into the message. You have to be very mindful of how you are as a person. I'm telling you, as a female, women, we love our sisters, but a lot of times as women, we don't want to be around a lot of females. If your friends find it hard to be around you, if other women find it hard to be around you, you imagine what it's like for a dude. Women at least understand women, men don't. We get in marriages and we got this big, beautiful fantasy of what it's going to be like. We even romanticize fighting. I saw somebody's TikTok, a popular TikToker. Did I say TikToker, Lord? TikToker, and she was saying, she didn't say anything. She had the message come up on the screen talking about marriage or relationships should have fighting, something dealing with passion or what have you. And let me say this to the creative, to the creative, please like and share. Please like and share. To the creative, please hear me when I say this. Creatives are wired by God to be super sensitive. Therefore, we can be very passionate. And one of the things, or one of the issues with the creative, is that we like to have our passion stirred. We will do anything to feel passion. We'll do anything. And so consequently, what we do is we substitute passion for fighting. Thank you, Sister Veronica. God bless you. We substitute passion for fighting. So what we'll do is, women, for example, because we're creative, because when we're bored, we need to have something to. This is why we do stupid stuff, because we need something to kind of trigger us, our serotonin, something to get our dopamine levels up, something to trigger oxytocin. We need something. We need our adrenaline to get kicked off. This is something that the creative does. This is something that the creative does. And when you're dealing with the creative has a tendency, a creative woman who is a prophet or a prophetic person who doesn't know what she is, will use her creativity to destroy and castrate her husband. Because she starts romanticizing the idea of what a fight should look like. Okay, I want passion. It's boring in here. He in the living room watching TV, scratching his balls. I'm in the bedroom laying it, watching just reading a romance novel. Thank you, Sister Carol. God bless you. Reading a romance novel, and we bored. I want passion. So what she'll do is she'll formulate. Please tell me I'm lying. She'll formulate this idea in her mind. Let me go up in here and I'm going to talk to my husband about something he did last week or 2 weeks ago. She'll start a fight just to make up. She'll start a fight just to make up. And then be hurt when he don't make up, because men and women fight differently. Women, we fight for fantasy, because we got, when a woman fights you, brothers, hear me, when a woman fights you, there's a fantasy going on up in here. The whole time. It's sick and it's twisted. But there's a fantasy going on up in here of you saying, don't you, come on. Okay, what you want me to do? There's a fantasy going on up in here. When a man fights, he's fighting to get the peace back. He's fighting, leave me alone. Let's just, that, so there are two different dynamics. It's just, women, we are passionate, and especially a creative woman, a prophetic woman can be very, very problematic in a relationship, because she's always looking to kind of give herself a rekindle the spark, if you may. I kind of think that was something that was created by a creative, rekindle the spark. And so she'll do crazy stuff, and the next thing you know, with men typically fight by grabbing their keys and walking out the house. They get frustrated and they just like, they grab their keys and they're like, then we be sitting in the house like this. It's crazy, because you know what? It didn't play out the way that it was supposed to play out in our heads. This is why you get that stuff healed now. If you want to get married, get that out of there now. Get delivered now. Go ahead and get a realistic view of marriage now. Get around some people that have been married for 20, 30, 40 years so you can see what marriage really look like. And if you find yourself saying, not me, I've been dumped him, I've been divorced him, then you know what? You're not ready yet. Because I'm going to tell you something about marriage. Your husband going to do 1,000 things in probably a month that will make you say, if you saw somebody else's husband doing it, you probably say, I divorce him. When you get married, you ain't going to divorce him. You get married, it ain't as simple as getting up and walking out the door and divorcing. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. I get around married couples and, I sit back. I remember one particular time I had to drive out to a married couple's house, and I'm carrying this heavy stuff, and the wife carrying heavy stuff, and the husband in the car, in the house, and he don't get up and come get nothing. And I'm out there in my head thinking to myself, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. I'm out here wrestling with stuff, me and her wrestling stuff like a man and a husband in the house. Couldn't be me. But realistically speaking, if you end up married to somebody like that, it would be you. It would be you. And, that's a whole other message within itself. But anyhow, I want to talk about the 10 types of marriages, or no, the 8 types of marriages that you need to avoid. The Bible says, test the spirit. And, we got over 100 people on here now, so I can say this. This is unrelated to the whole Megan Good and Devon Franklin stuff. So don't tie this in. I know I'm talking about marriage. You guys know I talk about relationships a lot on this channel. I just did a message asking everybody to pray for them. I did this as a separate message so nobody would try to tie it together. But I want to talk about the 8, maybe I should have did 10, but 8 types of marriages that you should avoid. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are types of marriages that I've seen, and marriages I've counseled, marriages that I've seen fail time and time again, types of marriages that you need to avoid. Types of marriages. Do me a favor, like and share. Like and share. Let's get the numbers up. The first one, number 1, is a loneliness marriage. And these are not going to be any really extravagant names or anything. Like I said, I don't plan on being on here long at all because I want to go lay my tail down. Loneliness marriages. These are marriages that you get into because you lonely. You lonely. You bored. You tired of being by yourself. You tired. So some guy come along and he probably lonely too. And even if he ain't lonely, you lonely enough. So you try to go ahead and make it work out between the two of you because you're tired of being alone. And typically when people go into these types of marriages, they usually marry people they wouldn't ordinarily marry, but they just tired of being alone. They got tired of waiting on somebody. They got tired of God, of waiting on God. They got tired. And, I tell you all the time, guys, you got to hear this. You're not waiting on God. You really got to hear this. You're really not waiting on God for a marriage. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you to mature. There is a certain level of maturity that you have to get. And to my sisters, before you become a wife. Once you become a wife, God hides you because you become his wife first. And when I say his wife, I'm not talking about literal, but metaphorical. You become his wife. And once you become God's wife, God hides you. And when he hides you, you find that you're not getting that much attention from guys. You find that whenever a guy does give you attention and you're like, oh, God, praise the Lord, God will lay it on your heart, pray. And when you pray about him, the God to blow him out the water and they fall by the wayside. And you come to understand that scripture about they're going to fall to your left and your right. I'm trying. But loneliness marriages, loneliness marriages. Loneliness marriages. You want to avoid loneliness marriages. Number 2, fetish marriages. This is something that you have to okay. Let me make sure this doesn't tie in and nothing else okay, fetish marriages. Fetish marriages typically involve two people from two different worlds. Let me say this before I go any further. A black man and a white woman and a black man. There's nothing wrong with interracial marriages, but you want to make sure it's not a fetish marriage. Young woman, old man, older man, younger woman. You want to make sure it's not a fetish marriage. Fetish. Sometimes people, out of curiosity, will fetishize you. You anointed. This can fall under anointing. You're anointed. You sit up here, let's say God blesses you with the hands of healing. So you out here, you lay hands on people and they get healed. There are people that will fetishize, you looking at you, there'll be guys looking at you like, they're not attracted to you, they're attracted to your gift. But the thing is, you are human underneath that gift. That gift is in that's God moving in you. But they get in the house with you, you're not gonna be walking around the house healing people. You're not gonna be walking around the house like floating and stuff like that. And so they're gonna have to deal with the real view of you, and once they get familiar with you, that marriage would end. Fetish marriages. There are different types of fetish marriages. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with interracial marriages, but a lot of interracial marriages end because they were centered around fetishes. They were centered around, some lady, she looked at a black guy, she says, oh my God, they look so strong. It's like the Mandingo. And once she gets in a marriage with him, it's not always the same thing. It's just people fetishizing each other. So if you marry somebody from a different country, that can be a fetish marriage. From a different race, that can be a fetish marriage. You can marry somebody in your same race and it be a fetish marriage. But you want to make sure that neither one of you are fetishizing. There's nothing wrong, again, with interracial marriages because we're human. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to always test. This is why the Bible says test the spirit. You want to always make sure that it's not a situation where a guy is looking at you and he says, I've never been with a black girl before. I've always wondered what it was like to be with a black girl. Or a guy says, I've never known what it was like to be with a white woman before. What's it like to marry a white girl? What's it like to have sex with a white girl? That's a fetish. Those relationships don't last. They don't last. Now, when you get with people, you want to make sure that you are compatible, that your spirits are compatible. Anything else won't stand. Fetish marriages. Be very mindful. Again, and I'm kind of staying here because I'm trying to make sure that you guys understand. I'm anointed. I have several businesses. I have several card games, several books. God has blessed me. God has done a lot in and through me. And I am eternally grateful or what have you. But I have to be aware and I have to be conscious and sober enough to understand that some men like that. They like that gift. So it doesn't matter if a man is sitting there looking at me, he's like, it doesn't mean he's looking at me saying, I am attracted to you. I think you're attractive. He could be looking at me like, man, we be rich. That girl going somewhere, I would never have to wear this. She know God and she cast out devil. All that, man, I ain't never got to worry about nothing. All that stuff. So he can center his interest around me based on what he didn't have with the last woman. Does that make sense? So he can sit back and say, with the last woman, they were broke. and he lost his job. And because she was relying on him, she didn't have any money. And then there was a whole lot of demonic activity. And in a case like that, you're probably dealing with a guy who's relatively feminine. Relatively feminine. See, there, y'all. I'm gonna give you an example of a fetish. I'm gonna give you an example. Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige. I haven't listened to Mary J. Blige in years, but one thing I remember about Mary J. Blige is that she exudes a strength. She has this thing where there's a strength. And I can see that on other women. I can see that strength. Whenever a woman comes along, you can tell that she has, she's been hurt and she's kind of mastered, not even just mastered being hurt. She's mastered her emotions in that. And she's learned a lot. And so she has I think that when they said put on your big girl panties, it's almost like grown woman vibes. It comes off like this is the type of person you feel like you can go to sleep. This the mommy, the mumminess to him or what have you. That's what it feels like. There's some guys that are attracted to that because she has a motherly type. I don't want to say instinct, but I don't want to say aura, but I guess I could say aura. But she has a motherly type mannerism about herself, and some of you do too. Because after you have survivor vibes, I like that. But after you have survived quite a bit and you develop a strength and you become mature and responsible, like you keep your house clean, you're not always hanging out with people, you're always doing what you got to do. There are men that will be attracted to you. They're not necessarily attracted to you. They're attracted to a missing mother. Does that make sense? They didn't have a mama. You are the mother they always wanted. But they can't ask you to be their mama. They can't ask you to be their mama. And so they'll have to come into your life and then they just be like playing game like, mommy. And you're gonna end up being a mother figure to them. You end up being a mother figure to them. And y'all gonna have a really weird incestuous type relationship because he gonna lay on the couch, not necessarily want to work. He gonna watch you provide. He gonna watch you be strong. Emotionally, he's not gonna support you. He's not gonna cover you. He's not gonna pay much of any bills. He's not gonna do much of anything. He's going to feel in his mind you're strong enough to do all that by yourself. That's the feminine man, and they actually common nowadays. They're common, so you got to be very mindful. You got to be very mindful. All right, let's move on. Fetish marriages. Number 3, obsession. Obsession marriages. Marriages centered around obsession. Obsession marriages have everything to do with fantasy. They're very similar to loneliness marriages, but the only difference is obsession marriages typically start outside of the relationship. So let's say, for example, you start listening to, they got this Can We Talk challenge going on, Tevin Campbell music. So now you fall under the spell. You just adore Tevin. You start imagining, all it. So you get caught up in your fantasies. Some dude comes along and he kind of has that little soft voice and he's like, hey, how you doing? He kind of reminds you of Tevin. And now you sit up here, you start entertaining, getting with him or what have you, and you're caught up in your fantasies. He's like, what you thinking? And he like, lift up your head, baby. Now, he's sitting there looking like, oh my gosh, she's in love with me. No, she's in love with what's in her head. Brothers, let me give you a little bit of insight. When you catch a woman doing this right here, and when we talking about she going, you better run. You hear me? You better run because there's some stuff going on in her head. There's some stuff, there's a picture, there's a movie going on in her head. And if you don't play your part, you're going to be in trouble. There's some when she go to doing this, when I'm on TikTok, it's funny. When I'm scrolling TikTok And I see these girls on TikTok and they be, doing the thing and they just stop and they go, I'm like, oh God. Oh God. And sometimes they're really pretty girls. And I'm like, the guys don't even know. They don't even know. She's not secure. She living here. Not out here. Here. And when people live in here, they're gonna be super emotional. What's wrong? When you kissed me, it was a quick kiss. You normally give me like 3 seconds. This time you gave me 2. I timed it. I can't believe you would do something like that. Can't believe it. 2 seconds? 2? Not 3? No, we said we were trying to do this abstinence thing, but this is ridiculous. I thought we were trying to do the right thing. I figured 3 seconds is just, yeah, I was kind of having trouble with the 3 seconds. I wouldn't even, no, I was kind of hoping we would kind of go to the next level on today. Dude, you finna go through some stuff. You gonna go, all I ask for is a popcorn. Let me be a fly on the wall because you're gonna go through some stuff with that female. You're gonna go through some stuff with her. Obsession marriages. These are the type of women that will kill you dead. These are the type of women, they live right up here. They're obsessing over something else that happened outside of you, something that happened before you, something that they are romanticizing in their minds. And so now you're coming along and it's almost like you're auditioning for a production that has not yet started. You are auditioning for a production. So now, but you're not going to be given a script. You better be prophetic. You better figure it out. What do you want? Are you okay? What? Baby, tell me why you're not speaking to me today. Baby, tell me what's wrong. You didn't flush the toilet, okay? It was doo-doo streaks all over in the toilet, and I can't believe you didn't flush the toilet, and I never wanted to see that side of you. Well, baby, I do. I'm a human. I do have a body, and yeah, that part, I'm sorry I didn't clean up the toilet. Can you sleep in the other room tonight? I can't sleep beside you. I can't. Obsession. Because in her mind, everything is this beautiful butterfly show with rainbows, sparkles, and condoms. And when things don't go her way, she will take it and she over dramatizes it. These are the type of people that will make great authors, but unfortunately, most of the time they don't take the time out to write a book. Instead, they just sit there and go into obsessive. Now, let me say this. Some of my obsessives, I know y'all are on here today because y'all are females. You're here. You know it. You know what I'm talking about. You're the type of person that can go into a store and see a guy working and you can tell he got muscles under his shirt. He's stocking the shelves, and then you can put a story together in your head, a storyline together in your head about you walking over and you dropping a loaf of bread and him picking it up and your eyes meet and there's this chemistry. And while you're talking to him, he just tells you that, oh no, I'm in college. I happen to be working at this store, but I'm actually going to med school right now. And obsessive. I need you to hear me when I say this. Obsessive. Write the book. Get that. Listen. Hear me, y'all. Hear me when I say this. Obsessives. Hear your sister. Hear your sister. I obsessives. Right. Get that obsessiveness out of there, because obsessives destroy their marriages. Obsessives, they destroy their marriages a lot. They'll watch a movie and start a fight because of the movie. He took her to Hawaii, and then they went to Tahiti, and then they went to Fiji in a movie, and you haven't even taken me to Arkansas. And the husband like, baby, we can't afford it now. Baby, what do you want me to do? We don't have the money. What do you want me to do? Obsessives will destroy their marriages by yelling, complaining, and cheating. Because after a while with an obsessive, once they realize that they're probably not going to have what they fantasize about with this guy, they're going to probably start fantasizing about somebody else. They'll start finding, and they'll get caught up in a relationship with somebody else, and they're going to be gone. 3 kids later, 4 kids later, they're already out. Number 4, acting class. I'm telling you, I would have fun. I would definitely have fun. Settlement marriages. Settlement marriages. This is when you just kind of give up on life. You tired of waiting. This is the one that I meant to say that was similar to loneliness ones. Loneliness, you're just lonely, so you marry. But settlement is when you don't even care. Dude comes switching in, talking about some, how you doing? And you like, you know what, you'll do. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired. I'm tired. Girl, me too. Settlement marriages. They don't work. Because at some point, you're going to realize what you need. You are a creature of need. You are a creature of purpose. And the person that aligns with you, there should be a spark that should make your baby leak even before you get pregnant. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that y'all just tired. You know what? What's wrong with your eye? Oh, the doctor said, okay, we just going to go get it fixed. I don't even care no more. I don't even care no more. I don't even care no more. We just gonna get it fixed. I don't even care no more. Just is that your wheelchair? Let's just get you in there. And I'm not making fun of people. I'm just saying people have a tendency when you get right. Why you believe like when you get to the point where you get tired, and this is what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to settle. I talk about the settlement offer. The settlement offer is typically when the enemy sees that you're about to win and you're about to break through and you're about to get what it is that you've been praying for, and he offers you a settlement. He'll send you somebody that he'll be like, well, look, I'll tell you what, I'll give you him. He's kind of Christian. He believes in God. He says Jesus. But he got an extra little wriggle in them hips. Dude addicted to porn. I'll talk about Remnant Writers 2.0 later. I don't want to go off topic. Now you're sitting up over there, you just like, I just don't care. And you end up married to him. Now you over there talking about something. I can't do it. And I'm over here trying to counsel you, sis. It's gonna work out. Just go talk to your husband. What's the problem? I don't want to tell you. I mean, I don't. I think filing for a divorce is a little bit extreme. Don't you think? You guys just got married. Is there anything that you can fix it? Okay, I gotta wear my panties. All right. Yeah, yeah, those are irreconcilable differences. I'm sorry. I get it. I get it. I'm sorry, sis. You settled. Settlement marriages. Women do it all the time. You get tired. You get tired as you start aging, biological clock start going off or what have you. And the next thing you know, you just give in and you just say, oh, I don't care anymore. And you marry somebody that you ordinarily wouldn't have married because you were just over it or what have you. And then you get in that marriage and now you're crying out to God. And God is like, I would have sent the man had you waited. And well, not even waited. You healed and got delivered. Before we go any further, I have to address this because it annoys me. The problem with a lot of Christian women, the reason that a lot of Christian women go year after year after year not getting married is because they're not moving. They're not moving. Meaning you right here, you're stuck. Because you're waiting. And God never told you to wait. You're supposed to grow. So you just go to church, come home, go to work. You're not doing anything that would facilitate growth besides going to church. But you don't show up at Bible study. You're not really, y'all, do you know when it comes, most people hold themselves back from success, marriage, and everything else. They hold themselves back because 2020 shouldn't look like 2019. Your 2021 should not look like your 2020. There should be a notable difference, a notable change, not just in your life around you, but in you. There should be some growth. You are growing into a wife. You're not waiting. And the women that are waiting, they sit there. Matter of fact, let's get this scripture. Let me help you. I keep putting the wrong password in my phone. I'm getting annoyed with it now. Let me stop. All right. Matthew 25, 1 through 13, even though this is symbolic of the church, is also something that we can take it in literal terms. Matthew 25, 1 through 13. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye and meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish one said to the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there not be enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I know ye not. Okay, we can stop right there. There are foolish Christians and there are wise ones. Foolish women will sit back and wait until they get tired of waiting, and then they start doing what they've been doing in the first place because they don't know any other way. Because they're not doing what they need to do to grow and to mature. Growth is not something that just happens by default. You have to actually do something to grow. If faith without works is dead, you have to do something to grow. That means you have to show up to church. You need to show up on time. You got to practice not quitting. You need a mentor. You need to read your Bible often. You need to pray often. That should be some things that you're doing daily. These have to be consistent things, right? You got to be intentional. You got to be consistent. You got to forgive. You got to sit there. You got to put yourself in situations that you're uncomfortable with. You got to grow. You have to actually take yourself through a training process. But most women don't do that. Most women go to work, they come home, they hang out with family whenever. It's just the same old rotation. But they waiting for the bridegroom. They just going in the same rotation. Same rotation. No growth. And say, well, it's frustrating to me because, I saw this girl, she got married, and, she been abstinent for a year, but Sister Tiffany, I've been abstinent for 7 years. You've been going in the circle for 7 years. You would have been married in a year or two had you actually put the time in and grow. One of the first things, or one of the first lessons in growing, is you have to set your comfort zone. You have to leave your comfort zone. You got to set it on fire. To the moderators, I don't know who this person is. I keep putting this bomb stuff up here. Do me a favor, get rid of them, because I can tell it's something that's it's something that is just spam. You have to actually put intention behind growth. You got to put intention behind growth. I get. You got to put intention behind it. If okay, today's Wednesday. Okay, at your, maybe your church has services. Did you go? Now I understand if you were working, but if you were at home, did you go to church? Let me say this. I took my nap. I took a nap today. I was really tired, so I ended up taking a nap. And while I was taking a nap, My alarm, when I set my alarm, to go out so I can make sure that I go to church, my alarm went off. Church almost didn't see me because that alarm went off. Oh my goodness. Oh, that flesh. That flesh said, not today. I don't feel like this. Man, come on. Why we having church today? The flesh, it turned into a fight. Oh my goodness. If you're going to church online is decent, but it's always good to get up and get out. Because you have to make the sacrifice. So your sacrifice is not going to look like the sacrifice of the sister who actually got up. So you want to make sure that you sacrifice, because that was my flesh. My flesh said, you can go to church online, Tiffany. You're already, it's fine, And I kept telling myself, no, Tiffany, no, you got to. And when I tell you, this is a fight I go through often, because I don't like going outside. I don't like leaving my house. I don't be wanting to get dressed. I just be wanting to walk around my house, work on whatever I'm working on. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I don't feel like doing it, but I have to always put this flesh in subjection, because I'm going to tell you something about marriage. If you don't get your flesh in subjection now, you won't survive marriage. Because y'all, the reason I say that marriages are destroyed mainly by women is because we think we can handle it. As I'm teaching right now, there are a lot of you right now who believe that you are suitable for marriage and that there's nothing that will cause you to want a divorce, and you believe you're okay. You've never been married before. You don't know anything about marriage. That's a platform you never stood on. You don't understand the pressures of marriage. You don't understand that same pressure that says, I don't want to go to church, is a pressure that will say, I don't want to cook. It's a pressure that'll say, I don't feel like cleaning. It's a pressure that'll say, I don't feel like this. I don't feel like that. And so you have to master that voice. You got to master it, because if you don't master it, then what ends up happening is you become that woman laying around her house with a filthy house, kids screaming up a storm, you argumentative and emotional, and your house is just horrible. Husband can't, there's no peace there. And many of us have been in houses like that. Go up in there and you just like, dang, it's too much going on up here. Kids running around, tearing stuff up. The mother didn't checked out. She didn't got to the point where she don't even care no more. The kid is walking around with a samurai sword trying to kill the other child. You sitting there looking like, give me that. And she be like, girl, the dishes all over the place, the drawers on the floor. I went to a house like that some years ago to get my hair done. I made it a point not to go back. I didn't even understand. This girl. Okay. I want to be mindful. But I was just taken aback. I was taken aback because she had two small daughters. And they stripped down naked and ran around the house and was sitting on carpet. And all I could think about was my mom. My mom, if I walked around, my mom and dad divorced. I was 15 going on 16. And so my dad took my brother with him. And, so it was me, my mom, and my sister. So we used to walk around the house in t-shirt and underwear and stuff like that. And I used to like to sit on the floor. My mom used to get me about that. Oh, she got on my, she was like, that's how you get it. That's how you can get a bacterial infection. You don't sit on the floor in your underwear. She would just stay on my case. You put some clothes on before you sit down somewhere. Thank you, LaShawn. God bless you. And I'm looking at these little girls butt naked sitting on carpet. And they get the food. She giving them food. They literally taking the food and doing this on the carpet. And she ain't saying nothing. Then there was roaches going up the wall. It's stuff everywhere. It was chaos. And I was like, goodness. That's a mental illness. How you keep your house is an indication of what's going on right here. You should not be comfortable living in disorder. Your house looks like your mind. Did you hear that? Your house looks like your mind. Your house is your mind manifested right here for you. You living inside of your brain. If you got tampons on the floor in the bathroom, that's a problem. If you got stuff under your bed, that's a problem. I'm not saying you got to be perfect. My house is not perfect. But I'm not comfortable in disorder. But a lot of women are. A lot of women are. So let's move on. Settlement marriages. That was number 4. Avoid settlement marriages. Don't settle. Don't settle. Let God bring the right person in the right season. Don't settle. Let him bring in the right person in the right season. Number 5. Old crush marriages. You had a crush on him back in 1998. And now he done finally got older and lost a couple of teeth, and now you qualified. People actually do get married to their old crushes. Not realizing that, okay, now immediately when I wrote this, I promise I did not think about this situation. I didn't think about this. It was very similar to a situation I had with an old friend of mine. We were childhood friends, what have you. We're still cool, but just years we haven't talked to each other. But when I was younger, I was like 11 years old, 11 and 12, I had a major crush on her big brother. He was like 17, 18 years old. So he was like grown, I had a major crush on him. And I used to tell her, I'm like, I want your brother. I like your brother. Or what have you. So when I used to see him, I used to make sounds and, what have you. And sorry, but I used to sit there and I look at him, and I'd come to the door. He knew I had a crush on him because I was standing, open my door and that's what I just realized. That's where my little sister got that from. I used to wonder why when she was younger she would do crazy stuff. When it came to a guy that she had a crush on, because I used to sling my door open and just look at him, and I do stuff, funny or whatever. He just laugh at me, but I just had this big crush on him, and I was like, oh, and I'm not gonna say his name. I'll call him Troy. His real name's not Troy, guys, but I'm like, oh, Troy. And he turned around, I'm like, so I had a crush on this guy. I had a crush on him for years. The whole time we lived next door to him, I had a crush on him. One particular time, now finally, we move. I get older, I grow older, or what have you. Probably like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. I'm in the world now, I'm walking around, I'm living my life and I happened to come in contact with him. He actually moved into my neighborhood with his wife. Now I remember when I had a crush on him, he had this girlfriend, that he started dating. And I remember, like I said, he was 17. I remember he was in high school. Next thing I remember him going to college. His girlfriend used to have this little convertible. She used to pull up at his house, and I used to look at her like, took my man. But I didn't take it seriously. I wasn't really mad at her. It used to just be that little funny thing. Go ahead. So he ends up marrying the girl. Thank you, Deontay. God bless you. He ends up marrying the girl. And they move out there to where I was living. They move out there to these apartment complex I was living in. And I happened to come in contact with him. I think I saw him at the store or what have you. He's like, Tiffany, I'm talking to him or what have you. The crush was gone. I grew up. It was gone. He was still handsome, but it was gone. But I remember he asked me to babysit. He was like, he wanted me to babysit for him and his wife or what have you. And then he tried to get a little weird with me. And I was like, bro, yeah, nah, I'm not the one for the job. But I'm saying, when it comes to old crush marriages, you got to understand that's just something that happened. You had a crush on somebody at one point, and you had a crush on them in your immaturity. Just a little distance, that little time that I had been away from him, I had matured to an extent to know that wasn't what I wanted. I had matured to an extent to know that wasn't what I wanted. Thank you, Sister Naomi. God bless you. I had matured to know that wasn't what I wanted. So you got an old crush. You need to pray that soul tie off of you. Because some of y'all be sitting up here. Your old crush ain't never really liked you. They ignored you, but now they sitting around here, they limping and they can barely walk and And now they giving you attention. You over here ready to get in a relationship with them because you still living back in 1998. You still living in 1998. And you still think that if you know what? I'm going to restore him. We're going to fix that leg. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to get it together. We're going to get it together. He's going to be like he was back in 1998. Baby, hear me when I say this. Every day that we live, we are actually crip walking toward death. He's getting older. This is what you're going to get. Because those relationships, it's not going to work. Because now you sit up over there and now you're trying to get him back to what he used to be. And he hoping that you with him because, right, restoration services. Now he over there leaned over trying to have a normal marriage, and you over there talking about some, baby, I just ordered another treadmill. For what? You ain't giving him a chance. All right. Old crush. Old crush marriages. Sorry. No, I think about that because I know people that do that kind of stuff. They get with the old crush because the old crush has finally been crushed enough to finally take notice of them. But the old crush is not like he or she used to be. And now don't do that. Number six, false prophecy marriages. False prophecy marriages. This is where we get serious. This is where I have to warn you. False prophecy marriages. You know, you have guys come up to you and say, God said you're my wife. It's okay to tell him, God didn't tell me that. A lady got in my inbox, and if you tuned in, sis, I promise you, please don't be mad at me. But this was years ago, so she probably not tuned in. She probably didn't followed me a long time ago. It's been years. Got in my inbox one time, and I ain't gonna lie, I laughed. Sis, if you listening, I'm not saying I laughed maliciously. I was tickled. I think I've gotten this maybe twice. Somebody inboxed me, and you could tell she was devastated. She said this man told her that God said that was he was her husband, and she said, I'm not attracted to him, but I don't want to disobey God. And I typed it back. I was like, relax, that's not your husband. Relax. You know, because the thing about it is, God created us. God is not going to, if I'm not attractive to a guy, God's not going to point to that, tell that guy, look at that, see that girl right there? Yeah, the one right there. Yeah, that's your wife. And I'm sitting up over there, and he looking like, yeah, no, that's God. No, because it'd be a Jacob Leah type situation. I wouldn't be loved. I wouldn't be appreciated. It's the same thing on the other hand. You know, God ain't gonna put me in a marriage where I gotta be sitting up over there like, we're gonna get you fixed up. Just gotta get that fixed. We're gonna do. But there are people who have been prophesied into marriages like that, and they end up miserable. They end up miserable. I have a friend that was prophesied into a marriage, and it was a completely ungodly marriage. Now, don't get me wrong. Can somebody prophesy about a marriage and it could be God? Potentially. You know, because there are a lot of marriages that people were prophesied into marriages and it was truly God. But don't get caught up just because somebody give you a prophetic word in your time of desperation and thinking that that's your husband, because it might not be your husband. It might not be your husband. Like I said, I have a friend that got into a marriage like that. Everything that from the moment they dated, everything about that was off. If she had known me back then, I would have told her to run. And one thing I don't do is I don't come against people's churches, but this is one church I would have came against. This is one event I would have told her, sis, that is not of God. Thank you, Sister Jenny. God bless you. Had I known her by the time I met her, she was already in the marriage, kids, the whole nine. And the problems were already and the man was he was demonic. He was really demonic. But she had been prophesied in today. She had been prophesied into that by people that in a church she was going to. Like, just because somebody walk up to you and say, God said that that's your spouse, don't you? You better pray. You better pray, because people are getting in marriages like this and they're coming out of those marriages. And yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not against prophetic marriages. God, I'm not against that. I believe wholeheartedly. I do believe there are marriages that are designed by God's perfect will, and there are some that are designed that we can get into His permissive will. Perfect will means that you pray and you say, God, send me the one, and God will send you. God will handpick. God will say this one. I believe wholeheartedly in that, but I also believe in God's permissive will. His permissive will allows us to marry anybody who's saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit. The problem with the permissive will is that when we choose, we're going to choose somebody according to where we are right now, not considering the fact that he fits me today, will he fit me tomorrow? He fit me right here on this level, but will he fit me tomorrow? So we get into marriages, and a lot of times that you can outgrow that person, because you got to understand, okay, you got to know your growth patterns. I am and for lack of a better term, an avid grower. Meaning I'm always growing. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always trying to grow. I couldn't be married to a man who has been stuck. I don't care if he is greater in rank than me or what have you. If he's been stuck for the last 15, 20 years, if he's not growing. Because the problem is, if I'm growing and he's staying still, eventually I'm going to catch up with him and I might surpass him. So I need somebody who's accustomed to growing, because here's the thing about, okay, most marriages end when there's a growth spurt. A lot of people don't understand this, that, okay, I get married. This is not what y'all are looking at right now. This is not the fullness of Tiffany. What you're looking at right now, do me a favor, guys, like and share. Please like and share. This is not the fullness of Tiffany. This is me still at a stage of my growth. This is what you're looking at. You're looking at me in a stage of my growth. Somebody can be attracted to this stage, but not be attracted to the next stage. And here's the thing about marriage, or about people, individuals, that at some point I'm going to shed some aspects to who I've become or who I am right now. At some point, those things, that's going to be a garment I'm going to take off. At some point, my mind's going to change about certain things. It's going to be at some point. If this man is stuck and obsessed with who I am, when I become who I'm designed to be, we won't be together. Because he's going to be frustrated by the fact that now I've changed. And I'm over here doing this and I'm over here doing that. If he just said, oh, my wife, she does this and she does this. What happens if I ever get to the point where I'm like, okay, I've done it all. I've done everything that I've ever wanted to do. Now it's time for me to vacation until the Grim Reaper comes. Now it's time to just really enjoy it. Everything I've ever done. I want to travel the world. I want to go do this and I want to go do that. What if I decide that? That's why some people get divorced when they go into retirement. Because the thing is, the man was attracted, or the woman was attracted to the moving person. But when you start to slow down, people realize, I really don't like you. I'm really not that fond of you. So be very mindful of false prophecy marriages. I told you guys, I almost found, well, I ain't gonna say I almost found myself in one. I had this guy in particular, he wasn't prophesied into my life, but I got prophetic words that led me to believe that was him. And it was very specific. And thankfully, I knew to pray and I didn't fall into that trap, because it was a familiar spirit that was trying to return that had been cast out. So when it comes to prophetic marriages or what have you, I am for it. Let me say this before I move on. I am for a man coming to a woman, talking to a woman after you've been courting for a while. I'm not for this. A man come up to you and say, how you doing? I know this is going to be really odd. Okay. Please don't run away from me. I'm not trying to scare you, but the Lord told me that you're my wife. Not for that. because then he gonna get shamed. That's out of order. Because now you're putting pressure on me to conform to what you believe that you said is God. Now I'm for a man that says in his heart, I believe I heard that, and he won't say that, and he courts you accordingly. And then there's a specific time that, during the courtship, he may say, God told me that you were my wife. Yes, to feel important. To feel important. Sometimes people feel pressure to give a prophetic word, honestly. And Christians do pressure people to give prophetic word. A lot of times when things happen, they be like, the Super Bowl, or this major thing, the presidency. Where the prophets at? Why y'all ain't prophesying? Why y'all ain't prophesying? So false prophecy marriages, be mindful of that. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with you, because I don't want anybody who may be dating somebody right now to be like, well, my man told me that I'm his wife. Well, if you're somewhere in the courtship, I think that's adorable. At some point in the relationship, and I think if you guys get into the point where you start talking marriage, yeah, when you're already in agreement with that. But no, I don't believe that somebody should use it as a tool of manipulation. And at the same time, if somebody prophesies that brother such and such is your husband, you better have enough of a relationship with Holy Spirit to pray for yourself and to believe God for yourself. If not, you're gonna find yourself in a relationship and you're gonna be trying to figure out how you got there. You're gonna try to figure out how you got there. Okay. Number 7. You know what? I realize this list is relatively funny. I'm not gonna say nothing else till y'all share. Do me a favor. No, I'm not gonna do that. But like and share. Like and share. Number 7. I said that and 10 people ran out of here. Number 7. Y'all ready? Number 7. Struggle marriages. You tired of being broke? That job at the gas station ain't paying enough money, and his job at the corner store ain't paying enough money, so y'all get together because y'all struggling. Thank you, Sister Natasha. God bless you. Struggle marriages. Struggle marriages. These are the marriages you get in and you sit up there and it's just like you tired of being broke. You can barely pay your bills. You done got evicted from the last 3 places. You done got evicted from the last 3 places, and now you sitting up here and you ready to try to make it work with somebody. Struggle marriages. There are a lot, right? There are lots of those in 2021. Struggle marriages. This, one of the things that if I ever had children, especially daughters, one of the things I would not do with my daughters is teach my daughters to sit at home and wait on a man. I would never do that. I would never do that. I would put it in their head, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I would push them, motivate them, and I would want them to go to school and be all that they can be. Because the goal to being blessed is to be a blessing. Somebody write it in the chat room. Because a lot of people don't get that these days. There are so many people that walk waiting around and they don't know how to be a blessing to nobody. And they just be like, girl, yeah. I know God gonna do something great. He gonna do something big. Where you'll see that. I don't like folks like her. Struggle marriages. You got 5 kids and you working at the corner store. So you married somebody's uncle who's 25 years older than you because you don't know how you're going to feed those kids. Right. I would teach my daughters I want them to learn how to do everything on their own. I want them to cook. I'll teach my sons to cook too. I'll teach them to cook, clean. Hey, my children will have books by the time they were 10. I'm telling you right now. Right? Can't cook, clean, take out the trash, or do nothing. Struggle marriages. People have these struggle marriages, and it's really funny because when you have these struggle marriages, they fight like cats and dogs, but they can't get away from each other because they need each other for the bills. All right, number 8. This is the one where a lot of you are going to grab a hold of your wombs. And I ask his style for that forgiveness. And I need to go to bed. I can tell y'all right now, I feel tired. I need to double up on my vitamins or something like that. Number 8, biological clock marriages. Sister Tiffany, I'm 34 years old. If I don't hurry up and get married, then I'm not going to be able to have kids. Girl, your womb will be working at the age of 40. Trust me when I tell you. Not telling you that anybody wants to have children. I know what the doctor said. Don't, after 35. But if Sarah can have a baby at the age of 90, y'all better stop listening to I'm not saying go against the medical professionals, but I am saying trust God. Trust God. Had our last one at 42. Amen. Because here it is. We get so caught up in our biological clock. If I was caught up in mine, I would probably be in sin somewhere. Like, this husband taking too long, God. So I'm going to do what I need to do. Or be at somebody's sperm clinic, and Lord knows I wouldn't do that. Because I don't know. That's like playing. That's like gambling. You don't know who the person is, what the kid going to look like. I mean, I think they got a profile. But can I get a profile of their demons? Because we talking generational curses and stuff. I need a profile. Do you have a profile of their demons? Because if he had the sperm bank selling sperm, chances are he broke, which means he's probably got some issue. Yeah. Can I get a yeah. Can I get a profile of what's going on in that bloodline? Because I don't want to be sitting up looking at my child and he looking at me rocking back and forward, eye in one corner, the other eye in the other corner, talking about some mommy. Boy, I'm trying to tell you right now, you're gonna meet your maker. You come over here, you looking like that. I don't know what the heck wrong with you. I will cast that demon out of you and cast you out this house at the same time. Over there looking like a cartoon character. And I'm just sitting here looking like, what the heck did I do? Lord, I'm sorry. And the worst part is I ain't even get to have fun to produce this thing. And now he's sitting up over here. Like, Lord, what's wrong with my baby? Wake up in the middle of the night, your little boy sitting on the edge of the bed. Mommy, I think it's time. Time for what? What are you talking about? Why are you in my room? Why are you at the edge of my bed? You didn't have a baby with a school shooter and you don't even know it. You done had a baby with somebody who is a serial killer in training and you don't even know it. Demons and passed on through. That's why I don't go with that biological clock stuff. I don't get caught up in that. I'm 44 years old. I do not have kids. Hey, not even deliverance. You want to take that one through deliverance. I'm telling you right now, that child will probably get cast out of my house. You got to go. You got to go because you're coming into agreement with some stuff. You got to go. Oh, I'm in a little boy room. No, I'm sorry. Besides, oh, okay. Let's stop. That was the last one, biological clock marriage. I'm going to throw a bonus in there. I'm saying, I promise I just be abnormal at moments. Right now, I'm tired. This is why I shouldn't be live, because I'm tired. And when I'm tired, I can be relatively silly. This is a bonus I'm going to throw in there because somebody put a comment and made me think about it. Thank you, Sister Yvette. God bless you. The Chucky dog. I'm telling you. I'm up in there cooking and I'm trying to cook and I'm like, I feel like somebody turn around and look at a little 7-year-old staring at me behind me. Tyrone, what are you doing here? Why aren't you in school? I left. How'd you get home? Did you tell the teachers you left? No. Why are you looking like that? Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, little boy about to go through some deliverance and a beat down. I will beat the brakes off of that child because I don't know what the world he got going in his head, but whatever it is, it ain't finna go down in this house. He gonna get punched in the face, body slam, dragged all over the house like you done lost it. You first and foremost, how you get your little behind home from school. Secondly, why you standing there looking crazy? I don't know. I can tell you looking like your dad, even though I ain't never met him. You looking just like him. And I don't know who this dude is. Happened to be in the store one day and see a man standing there. Hold up, excuse me. You ever been to a sperm bank? Okay, let me stop. All right. Last one. This is a bonus. This is dedicated to somebody put something up in there about career. Sorry. Let me give you guys time. Let me give you a moment. Let me give you a moment. Career marriages. Career marriages. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm giving you. I'm giving you this. When I get off of here, I am going to go and lay down. I'm going to shut down everything down here in case I go to sleep. Okay. Let me say this before I get into this. I bought a Snickers bar the other day, and I cannot find it. How you buy candy and you can't find it? I want that Snickers bar so bad right now. I want it so bad. Okay, that's enough of that. I want that. I don't know if I ate it. I don't think I ate it. I couldn't. I remember seeing that Snickers. Okay. All right. Career marriages. Career marriages. Career marriages don't work because typically they end up becoming like these partnerships and this thing where the two of you are just, you're not there. You're only there. You're there because you're probably looking like, what in the world? But you're there because he's successful and you're successful. It's no, it's not in my purse. I actually looked in the kitchen. I saw it on the counter. I know I saw it on the counter the other day. I know I saw it on the counter, and I don't know what happened to it. But it is a possibility that it could have been. It could have been one of those things. I could have ate it and just didn't realize. I doubt it. I don't know what I did with it. I don't know what I did with it. But I'm telling you right now, I want that Snicker. Right now, I want that Snicker. That I want chocolate. Okay, career marriages, and I've known. I think about this old friend of mine. She told me she used to nanny for two people who were lawyers. Leave the candy and be delivered. That kind comes out only by chewing. I'm telling you right now, I want that candy. I want it. I want that. It's one of those things. Okay, it's just one of those things. I want chocolate right now. I want chocolate. I want that. I want that Snicker, and I want a soda. I want that Snicker and I want a soda. And because I want it, I can't find it. The soda's in there, but I want that Snicker and I want a soda. That's what I want. I want to go lay up. I want a cup full of ice. You know how you have those weird nights where you just want weird stuff? That's what this is right now. That's what this is right now. So, career marriages. But I had a friend that she was a nanny and she nannied for, and I remember she used to talk about that story all the time about, these two lawyers and they need to sleep in the same room. They need to sleep in the same room. You said PMS, too late. But they didn't even sleep in the same room. And so because they didn't sleep in the same, she said it was just career minded. It was just like they were corporate partners and stuff like that. They were corporate partners and they got up and everything, even with their kids, they're like, okay. She said they would try to distract their kids with sending them, all these different activities and stuff like that. It was just career. So you want to be mindful. You want to be career minded, but you don't want to have a career marriage. You don't want to have a marriage because people do get married for that very reason. Somebody can sit there, like I said, somebody can look at me and it could be a guy who's relatively successful and say, that's the type of woman I want because she's career minded, she's driven, she's dedicated. Ha ha ha. We make a great partnership. But that's all we would do. We would make a great partnership, but we wouldn't make great lovers. We make a great partnership, but we wouldn't make great lovers. At the end of the day, what's most important, and I have to say this, what's most important is that husbands love their wives, wives respect their husbands. As a female, a woman has to feel secure. A woman has the one thing a woman needs in marriage, and I believe this with my whole heart. I believe that if a woman ever has security, a healthy woman, because an unhealthy woman, she gets security, she's going to unpack some crap. But I believe that if you get a woman who's healthy and she is healed and she has security, I believe that her potential will come out. Oh, most definitely, most definitely. I'll do a probably question and answers and we can probably deal with it. But I actually saw somebody. I went to TikTok earlier, right before I came on the video, and somebody was doing cookies, and I said, I want them cookies. I want them cookies. I want them. I want them. I wanted those cookies. I said, it's just one of those days. It's one of those days. But career marriages, you don't want to get in a relationship with somebody where that's just career focused. Now, you do want somebody who has a career mindset. You want somebody who is a builder. I'm a builder, so I would prefer a builder. I wouldn't want somebody that sat around and watched me build. I don't want a man to be sitting around, walking around the house, talking about I'm keeping the house while you build, because then that's like a twisting or a reversal of responsibilities, and things can get a little weird up in here. But you don't want somebody who is only with you because of your career. That makes sense. A cold cup of milk sounds good if I wasn't lactose intolerant. I'm not heavily, well, yeah, I'm not heavily lactose intolerant, but I am lactose intolerant. It happened at some point in my life. When I was a little girl, when I was 8 years old, I used to literally buy. My mom used to get WIC, and they would have these big old things with all these little individual boxes of milk. I used to drink the whole case. Like, she would have like this 24 case. I remember I used to go and just pull one out of there, and I would peel the thing back, and she didn't say anything. That's one thing I can say about my parents. They really just let us do. We could eat what we wanted to eat and do what we wanted to do. And I used to peel it back and walk around the house drinking milk. Now I'm lactose intolerant. I can eat cheese, and stuff like that. So I'm not heavily like most people are. But if I drink milk, like straight up milk, yeah, I'd have almond milk. Yeah, that Coke up in there. I'm gonna find that Snicker. If it's still in this house, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna go on an Easter egg hunt for it. Okay, so last one again was career marriages. Career marriages. Be mindful. I'm career minded. I believe in. I like discipline. I like the stuff that I do. Building, creating, or what have you. And I would love to have a. Whenever I do get married, I would love my husband to be a builder as well. Nevertheless, I would not marry somebody just because he's a builder. If that makes sense. I wouldn't marry somebody just because he says, "Well, okay." I told this story before. I'm not going to go into the story. Like this one time, I had got a prophetic word about what my husband was going to be like and how he was going to look, and I was counseling this couple, and somehow it slipped out in the counseling session. This was several years ago, and it slipped out in the counseling session. And I said that to them, and right when they got up and they were getting ready to leave, the husband stopped and he looked at me and he said, um, "If you don't mind me asking, can you describe this guy again?" And I was like, "Well, the prophetic word said he looked like this." And he said, "Huh." Then he looked back at his wife, and she looked mad. She was like, and I'm sitting there, and I knew then, okay, he got somebody in mind. And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? Wouldn't that be an interesting story? Long story short, long story short, he was putting it together in his head, and he decided to invite me to the church. Thank you, Brother Ricky. God bless you. To invite me to the church that this guy um co-pastored at. Invite me to the church and stuff. And I was like, oh no, I am a woman. I am to be pursued. Anyhow, the lady that I knew at the time, she I won't say pressure. She encouraged me. She was like, "Go, Tiffany. I think this is the one. You look at how he's gonna look at you. You're gonna know." Worst mistake of my life. If I ever did a movie, I would probably omit that scene. I would have no choice but to put it in just to show you how stupid I felt. Sorry, reading you guys' comments. To show you how stupid I felt. To actually get up out of my, and I didn't have a church home at that time or nothing. I was living in Conyers. This was like 2015 or 6 or 15, 2015. To get up out of my bed and go to this church, and the wife, so long story short, the thing that made him attractive was I was a builder. He was a builder. But when I looked at, when they told me to go look at his picture and stuff, I'm not one of those people that think you cute just because you light skin. I'm just not one of those people. And then, and that when they prophesied that the guy he looked almost white or Italian or something like that, I was like, okay, cool. Because, and in the world, I've dated light skinned guys, I've dated dark skinned guys. I'm not a person who has a preference, to be honest with you. I'm not into skin tone. For me, it's all about whether or not I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me, and at the same time, your heart condition. That's what's important. I'm not caring about no color. I think that's shallow and stupid. But that was something they placed emphasis on. But the thing was, he had written some books and he had done some things and, seemed to have a name that looked like it was going somewhere, what have you. Met the dude? No. I won't go into it, but it was just silly. It didn't feel good at all. And after, they were like, oh, insisting, oh, this is the one. I keep, this, you got to be careful, what have you. Did research on him online and stuff. And yeah, come to find out, he liked relationships where he liked partnerships. I don't want to go there. Honestly, I've shared the story before. I'm not ashamed of the story. It's just one of those things where I kind of feel like it's boring. Honestly, I just feel like it has no climatic in me. But I felt like that was what we would, if I ever entertained him, it would just be that. Dr. Such and such and Tiffany. That's all. And those type of marriages don't do very well because it's just all about power and, it's just a power couple. Somebody say, no, tell it. If I had 3 people to tell me to tell it, I'll tell it. Other than that, 3 more people, I'll tell it. Other than that, it's anticlimactic. It's boring, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's boring. It's not one of those things that it's not one of those things that you're gonna be like, oh, that was awesome. It's just it's boring. It's boring. But it was just one of those things where I just felt stupid. Okay, y'all. I'm gonna stop letting y'all put pressure on me. All right. So I was ministering to a couple whose marriage was in trouble. They were fighting. Many of you have probably heard the story before. They were fighting. Their marriage was in trouble. The husband had some issues with control. And so they would come to my apartment. I was living in Congress. They would come to my apartment and I would minister to them. I would talk to them or what have you. Long story short, what ends up happening is one particular session, they were getting ready to leave. They used to typically come over because they got off late, they came over and they were getting ready to leave. They had a really good session. The husband was really happy. The wife was really happy. They were walking out, smiling and holding hands. And he stopped and he said, somehow I don't know how we got into it, but I've been to lunch with them a couple of times. So obviously we had plenty of conversation. So at some point, I brought up the conversation about the prophetic word the lady had gave me about my husband being some Italian looking guy wearing a doctor's uniform. You guys know it's not the doctor's uniform guy that I saw online. All this is in that same zip code of time. But I was like, okay, so he was like, can you describe this guy again? I said, well, she said he was like either he was Italian or he was light skinned or something like that. And she saw doctor or doctor's coat of doctor or something like that. And for me, of course, at that time, I was like, Lord, doctor, hallelujah, God, you looking out, hallelujah, or what have you. So he turned around, he looks at his wife, he's smiling. The wife count, so she doesn't look so happy. I'm like, okay, what's that about? He knows something. He got something he got somebody in his head. And whoever it is, the wife don't like. So I was like, what? So first they didn't want to tell me. And I kept saying, what? So he told me he knew this guy that had been mentoring him. And the guy fit the description. He's like, he's biracial. So that's probably why he looked Italian. He's like, he's not a doctor, like PhD, MD type doctor. He is, well, not an MD doctor, not a medical doctor, but he is a doctor in ministry. And he's single. He, is waiting on his wife, all this stuff. And the guy's been ministering to him for a while. And I was like, oh, I'm not one of those people that think into stuff. I'm not one of those people that be like, tell me more. I'm just like, oh, okay. So people around me typically know that about me. So they try to put fire to me. They be like, Tiffany, you need to take this seriously. And that's typically how people are because they just know I just be like, whatever. So I turned to the wife, and the guy, he was like, I want you to meet him. It's a church I used to go to. He said, we got to go to that church one day. I want you to meet him, or what have you. He said, because I got a good feeling about this, or what have you. But the wife is still standing there. She's like, and I turned to her and I was like, what's up? She was like, no. I said, no, she's not. And at some point, I got a conversation with her. I think it was, I got her alone at one point because she's come to my house a lot by herself. And she told me that the guy she didn't like him. She didn't like him, or what have you. And that's why he was no longer mentoring her husband. She was like, she wasn't a fan of his. She said he was somewhat of a womanizer, or not so much a womanizer, but more so she felt like he was all about getting with women who had money. That's what she felt like about him. She felt like he liked to try to get with women who had some type, she felt like he was kind of narcissistic or what have you. But long story short, she said, but she didn't know for sure. So this lady that I had been, this woman I knew, she was, in ministry, what have you. I talked to her about it. They talked to her about it because they had started going to her church and what have you. And she got excited because she was the one who had given me the prophecy about him being light skinned, and she was like, oh my God, yeah, you should go. You should go to that church. You should go to the church. You should go and meet the guy. And I was like, that is outside of my, that's way, when I say way outside of my comfort zone, is as far as heaven is from hell. That's how far it's outside of my comfort zone. She was like, you should go. I'm telling you, Tiffany, you need to go. You need to meet this guy. I'm feeling good. So I asked him, I said, what's his website? What's his name? They gave it to me. I type it in online. I look at him. I'm like, there's no sparks. There's nothing. I'm just like, no. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the stubborn Christian. I don't want to be a hard Christian. So long story short, I make a date with them. I said, okay. He was like, I'm going to talk to him and tell him what have you. He said, but I'm feeling really good about this. I'm feeling really good. Everybody's excited but me. So finally, the day come that we're supposed to go to that church. The church is like 45 minutes away. The day come, it's a missionary Baptist church, something. Yeah, I think it's a missionary Baptist church. The day comes, we're supposed to go to this church. I'm like, cool, here we go. We get ready to go. And no, I'm at home. I'm getting dressed. Next thing you know, it's almost time. It's like 15 minutes before it's time to go. And the way that my bedroom was set up, I was living in an apartment. My bedroom, I could see my door, my door that people came. I only had one door to come in. So I could see that door because they were passing my bedroom window. So I see her coming, but I don't see him behind her. I see her. She's wearing a sundress and she's looking upset. And I already know they've been fighting again. So I go, before she can ring the door, I rush to the door, open the door, she come in, I see the tears. And I said, what's happening? What's going on? She said, we got into a fight. I said, for what? And so I don't remember what they were fighting about. I don't remember what they were arguing about. I don't remember what they were fighting about. And it was just silly. And she's like, he said he's not going to church. I was like, the heck he ain't. Y'all ain't got me sitting up over here getting dressed and I got to drive to this place. The other lady, I'm like, she putting pressure on me. We going to church, we going. And she was like, yeah, he said that. She said, no, I'm coming. She said, because, we made this promise to you. So I'm not going to leave you out like that. And I'm like, no, because he the guy. So I get dressed, go over to their house, drive around the corner to their house or what have you. I go and I say, go in the house and get him and tell him to come outside. So he comes outside. I go and fussing at him. And I'm yelling and he's telling me what's wrong with him and his wife. And I'm telling, so I end up counseling them for like 20, 30 minutes, 20, 30, 40 minutes. Long story short, I end up counseling. After I get through counseling, they make up and they hold hands. And he's like, you right. He's like, okay, we can still make it. I'm like, no, Miss Tiffany, I don't want to lose out. Come on, we can still make it. So he rushes in the house and gets dressed. I'm like, we're going to get there during the benediction. And that's exactly what happened because it was about 45 minutes away. We got there. There was 15 minutes left in church. This is how I felt. It's 15 minutes left in church. I ain't never chased no man. I've never been taught to chase a guy. I've always been taught that the man is the pursuer, and I'm that it's outside of my zip code. So for me to get up and go to a church and they throw in the scripture of Ruth at me, the whole 9 yards, all you doing is just you ain't gonna say nothing to him. You just going to the church. And the lady, she was like, he gonna look at you and he gonna know who you are. You hear me? He gonna look at you. Y'all gonna lock eyes. He gonna know who you are. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll like him more than I like his profile because I'm just not like I said. So I'm not getting any vibes, if you may. We finally get there. It's 15 minutes left. We no, not even 15 minutes left. We get there. They're already doing the benediction. Like when we walk in, he's preaching and he preaches for like 2 more minutes. Then he asks everybody to stand and do the benediction. We literally at the back, at the far back of the church. He does the benediction. We all stand up. We just got there now. We standing there. I'm feeling 85 shades of crazy. So I'm standing there, and finally, he's like, they dismiss, and the wife is standing there talking to me. He's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get him. Me in here. What are you doing here? What the heck is wrong with you, girl? He who finds a wife finds a good thing. What is happening to you? So right, that's exactly what I was thinking. So men they're not photogenic or what have you. He wasn't an unattractive person. He was just not my spec. So long story short, I see him at the front. He's making his rounds. Obviously, he was preaching, so everybody's talking to him. He's talking to everybody. He's greeting everybody. He's greeting and greeting, and he's making his way back because the guy that went up there to get him, and it's playing in my head what she said. He's gonna look at you. He's gonna lock eyes with you, or what have you. So he comes up there, and I can be honest and say I wasn't. I probably inwardly was hoping that he didn't, because the whole idea of him being a missionary Baptist, the whole not everything about the situation just didn't feel right to me. So finally, he makes his way back there. He finally gets to me. He shakes everybody's hands. He literally does not look at me. Literally, intentionally does not look at me. What he does is people standing on both sides of me, and he goes down the row shaking hands. He's like, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This is how his head is to me. He's like, how you doing? And then he's just doing it right there. Okay, this is a really interesting day. This is really stupid of me. So finally, he made some comment about going to watch some game or something. He said something. He looked at my way. I was like, hey, and what have you. And that was it. That was it. Like I said, it didn't have a climatic ending or what have you. That was it. We left. I drove home and I said to myself, never in your whole wide life will you ever do anything as silly as that again. Secondhand embarrassment, please, because I need to share this embarrassment with somebody. I didn't even want to tell the story. Yes, my cash app. One of the I don't know if the moderators are still on here. Moderators, you can put the cash app up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, that happened. That happened. And of course, when I told the lady about it, she was like, "That was the devil. It was the devil. He had them fight that morning. That was the devil. Everything was off. Let me see. Everything was off because of how that morning had went." And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but we weren't. That was not my husband. That was not my husband. That was not my husband. When I look at that space of time in my life, and I'm getting ready to close behind this, but when I look at that space of time in my life, um, I wasn't interested in marriage. I wasn't even really thinking about marriage. I wanted to build. But when I kept getting those prophetic words about marriage, that actually turned my head. It distracted me from building, and all of a sudden I started spending that time trying to figure out. This is when the other ex came, tried to come into my life, talking about talking about my divorce should be filed on any day now. When I got that, it just seemed like it opened up the door for men to start trying to pursue me, and they were not of God. Thank you, I am Clay. God bless you. Yes, you can sign up for the master deliverance. So that's what happened in that. And I shut that door. I said, man, listen, I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to spend my time just building. You know, when God brings a husband, he'll bring him, but I'm not. And I'm going to tell you something that it's 6 years ago. 6 years ago. The reason I bring up the fact that it was 6 years ago, if my mind had still been on marriage, I would have probably fallen into some of the stupid trap by now, trying to make the prophecies come to pass. I had to take my mind, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but somebody has to hear this. I had to take my mind off marriage and just focus on God and my assignment. That's it. I had to take my mind off marriage, take my mind off of my biological clock. I had to take my mind off all of that stuff and just focus on the kingdom of God. I had to put my focus on God. Because if I had still been caught up in that circle of my life, that era of my life, I would have still been sitting there looking at guys, and if they stared at me too long, I'd have been like, I wonder if that's him. I wonder, because he keep looking at me. Thank you, Sister Sheila. God bless you. He keep looking. He keep looking so that y'all know this look right here. I had to get out of that. I had to get out of that. And I had to put my heart and my mind and my focus on Jesus. Before that happened, I wasn't in the ministry of deliverance. You see, what God wanted to do is he wanted me to be focused so I could go to walking in my assignment. The enemy wanted me to be distracted so that I could be married to somebody that God didn't call me to be married to, not knowing who I am in Christ, doing whatever it is I want to do rather than doing what God told me to do. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Sister Kara. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Like, I'm telling you, from that time, once that situation was over with, I turned my head. Honestly, I turned my head. I turned my head because what was happening was I was being distracted. I took my attention off men. And I'm glad I did, because if I hadn't done that, it's been 6 years. It doesn't feel like 6 years. Honestly, it does not feel like 6 years. It feels like that happened. If you would ask me if we could take the time, like, I would have said that happened 2 years ago. That's how close it feels. I would have said it happened 2 years ago. That happened 6 years ago. 6 years ago. I'm still single. Still. I thank God, because God knows what's best. But I'm still single. Right. Honestly, I can say this. I don't think a single woman needs to be getting prophetic words about her husband unless God is specifically speaking and says to somebody, because a lot of times people feel pressured to give that prophecy. When they know you're single and they know you waiting, they'll just be like, they know when you standing there, they know you want that prophecy. So sometimes people can tap in and they'll give you that. And I honestly don't think that. This is one thing I learned from my church that has blessed my life, is that sometimes people can have a prophetic word that you're not ready to hear yet. I remember one of the ladies in my church, she told me she had a prophetic word for me. She said, but it wasn't time for her to release it yet to me. And for over a year, she didn't give me that prophetic word. For over a year, she didn't give it to me. And I thank God. That's maturity. Because some people are not ready for it. It would not be good for me to call somebody out of here when I don't know your spirit. I don't know if you're ready, and say, sister such and such, the Lord said by the end of 2022, this is what the Lord said. This is what's going to happen. By this or just look out because there's a man right now. No, some people are not mature enough to hear that. And what it does is it takes their focus, because right now they've been focusing on school. Right now they've been focusing on this. They've been focusing on something else. But as soon as you say that, it's going to turn that head. As soon as you say that, they're going to start looking and they're going to be like, I got a prophetic word probably about a month ago. Honestly, I got a prophetic word about a month ago. About a month a month and a half ago, about some man that's watching me. I'm like, well, he better stop staring. He better stop staring. You got a prophetic word about some man watching me that's scared of me, that's intimidated. Have I tried to make it easier? No. No. You know why? Because my focus is on God. My focus is not on a man. Do I want to be married? Yeah, I look forward to it. But I don't romanticize it anymore. I don't romanticize it anymore. You tell me there's a man of God watching you and he's scared and approach you, he's intimidated, I will mean mug out of every man that stare at me. I make it hard on you. Stay over there. Thank you, Sister Betty. God bless you. Make it hard on you. The deliverance minister in me. Fear. Because at this stage of my life, I'm focused. I'm not sitting up here trying to. I don't need a man to make me whole. So that's that. Let me get off of here. I'm saying all that to say to my sisters, please go get made whole in every area of your life. And when you do, it's funny when God does a work in you. If I gave prophetic words, I can tell you who's mature and who's not. The immature ones would be like, thank you. He should be here any day now. Is it you? I've been talking to this guy on the phone. He said he's my friend, but he said he got a girlfriend. But you know what? I think he could be it. They go to speculate. Let me say that to a mature woman who's satisfied in God and made whole. Your husband, the Lord said he is right around the corner, and the man knows who you are, and he's already got his eyes on you and all of that. You know how she gonna look? This is how she looking. You know why she look like that? Because she's whole. And when you're whole, everything that tries to come near your heart looks like a threat. When you're whole, you don't know what anybody can add to your life. The only thing you know is what they can take away. Maybe it's me. When you can't find what can he add to me, the only thing you can think about is what he can take away. But somebody who don't know how to pay their bills, somebody who's not responsible, somebody who don't want to go out here and go to college and do what they got to do, they just sitting there thinking about what they can get out of it. For real? For real? What do he look like? I think I know who you're talking about. You get somebody that's whole. You get somebody that's happy. Somebody who knows who they are in Christ and their content. And you tell that woman, the Lord said your husband around the corner. That chick about ready to run. She about ready to put on some motorcycle boots and take off. Because she happy. She's at peace. And now you threatening her with a man. Sorry to say it like that. Because she ain't looking like that no more. She's not looking like, oh, it's the man of God. No. My brothers, I love y'all. For real. Hey, the value of peace. Don't want that headache. Dookie streak draws and all that. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. Maybe it's trauma on my part. I promise I'm getting fixed. All right, love y'all. I'm gonna talk to y'all soon. I'm about to go lay down for a little while because I am. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on a hunt for that Snicker. Peace is my marriage, right? I had to pray. One thing I asked the Lord one time. I said, Lord, have I made peace an idol? Because I love it. I love peace. I love peace. I love peace. I don't like no kind of drama. I don't like no type of drama. And I think that even before I start courting, I probably go through counseling to deal with that because I don't like drama at all, period. And so for me, I don't want to have nobody in my life with no drama. None. Nobody coming as soon as any type of drama, I'm just gonna be like, yeah. Fly away, little butterfly. Go off into the wind. Be free. All right. I'm just kidding. But I love y'all, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.